Joining me now to discuss the fallout from the Supreme Court. For now, though, ABC's Alex Brachet, also ABC News senior Washington correspondent Devin Dwyer, and Supreme Court contributor and assistant professor at the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law, Kate Shaw. Alex, let's start with you. Supporters and protesters gathered across the country this weekend. What's been happening in blue states versus red states as you are following the fallout of all this?
Well, Kira, I think the one thing that we can say definitively is that these protests have been consistent across the board, blue and red states. Certainly, you saw in Terry's piece, he mentioned Cedar Rapids. We saw the truck driving through the crowd there, the Arizona State House, Greenville, South Carolina. But we've also seen protests in the places that you might normally expect them, the New Yorks, on the West Coast in L.A., and certainly in the Pacific Northwest. This is something that has sparked widespread demonstrations across the country, regardless of whether they are blue and red states. Many of these abortion rights advocates taking to the streets. But on the flip side, we're also seeing folks that are cheering this Roe versus Wade overturn decision. Notably in Philadelphia, the Catholic Church there, the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, talked about that during Mass on Sunday, praising the Supreme Court's decision. We've seen churches across the country also kind of echo some of those sentiments, and so it hasn't been so much of a red state blue state thing. We've seen pockets across the country in terms of how folks kind of align with these decisions.
So, Devin, as expected, Democrats are outraged by the ruling, which comes on the heels of the Women's Health Protection Act as well. House Democrats passed the act just this year, which would have codified Roe versus Wade, or codified Roe, rather. What comes next now for Dems?
Yeah, well, Democrats, Kira, could easily neutralize this Supreme Court decision by enacting that law that you mentioned. It was passed 218 to 211 in September. It would have enshrined abortion rights across America. The House did just that. Democrats did that, sent it to the Senate, and it died. And so that basically closed the door for now, at least on a sweeping congressional bill. So at the federal level, there's really not much that they can do to reverse the Supreme Court's decision last week. You heard Senator Elizabeth Warren on Sunday say the answer now is vote. Change your representatives if you're not happy. We also saw, and you see it on your screen, a letter from 34 Democratic senators to President Biden calling on him to take a more aggressive action to shore up abortion access in certain states. Some of the things that they're talking about and asking the president to do: loosening restrictions on access to the abortion pill, perhaps lease some space on federal lands to allow abortion clinics to open there. And also, they're asking the president to sue states that receive Medicaid dollars and prevent women who are raped or suffer pregnancies from incest from aborting their pregnancies. That's a contingency of getting Medicare funds, and so some of these Democrats are saying the White House should hold them to account.
So, Kate, what choice do women have now if they live in states that ban abortion? Will they face criminal charges for traveling out of state now to get the procedure?
You know, Kira, it's not yet clear. We are in an entirely new legal landscape since the court overturned Roe on Friday, and I think a lot of that remains to be seen. I mean, a couple of things are clear. Many states have already, and others will move to either ban or severely restrict abortion, but it will remain, protected and available in about half of the states. And right now, although several states have moved to try to prohibit their citizens from traveling to other states to obtain abortions, no state has passed such a law, and there's a real question about whether a state could constitutionally enforce such a law. There was an important concurring opinion by Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who joined the Alito majority opinion, agreed Roe should be overturned, but wrote separately to say he did not think that states could constitutionally prevent their residents from leaving to obtain abortion care, that the right to travel would protect them against any such state efforts. That's just one justice, and that's just a concurring opinion about, a hypothetical, but it is at least useful information about how one pivotal justice might view such a state law if a state did pass and try to enforce it. So for now, at least, it doesn't look like a state could prevent its residents from leaving to get abortions, but, a state could well try and sort of test its luck in the Supreme Court.
Okay. And Alex, what will happen to abortion pill access in states that have already banned abortion? That's another subject folks have been talking about. Will women still be able to receive the pills in the mail?
Well, Kira, if abortion is illegal in the states, that outlaws the use of that abortion pill in that state as well. But what's kind of unclear right now is how these states will go about monitoring pills that come in the mail, and also how they'll go about monitoring the potential telehealth that these women will be seeking to have these pills prescribed.
Interesting. And Kate, a Florida judge also is scheduled to hear arguments today on whether to block Florida's 15-week abortion ban. Abortion clinics and a doctor now challenging this new law under a privacy clause in the Florida Constitution. What can the judge do here, and how likely is this to be successful?
So what the Supreme Court said on Friday was just that abortion was not protected by the federal Constitution, but the U.S. Supreme Court can't determine the meaning of state constitutions. Every state has a constitution, and it's the state's courts, not the U.S. Supreme Court, that decides what those state constitutions mean. And some do have individual rights provisions that go further than the federal Constitution. So we are seeing this lawsuit today in Florida, and in a number of other states, such challenges will be filed or have already been filed. They're basically saying that state constitutions protect a right to abortion, even if the U.S. Constitution doesn't. And actually, that's a theory that's been successful in states well before this Dobbs case. Kansas, for example, in 2019, the Kansas Supreme Court held that the Kansas Constitution protected a right to abortion, although that question is on the ballot this fall. I don't know that anybody has a very good prediction about how any of these suits are going to fare under state law, but that is a very kind of fertile next litigation terrain in the wake of this federal constitutional ruling.
All right. And Devin, before we go, if you don't mind, today the Supreme Court issuing this ruling siding with a high school football coach who sought to kneel and pray on the field. You've been covering this. You've met the coach. What does he say about what happened today, about this case and the impact of the ruling?
A significant win for religious liberty and for that coach you mentioned, Joe Kennedy of Bremerton, Washington. Kira, he had coached the Bremerton Knights, a football team there, public high school, for 7 years. After every game, he said God required him to take a knee, pray at the 50-yard line, pray aloud, sometimes surrounded by students. The school said that violated the First Amendment. As a public school employee, he couldn't do that. But today, the Supreme Court said, in fact, he can. That states, the First Amendment doesn't prohibit school districts from allowing teachers, public employees, from praying aloud and practicing their faith on the job. Could have a big impact, not only at schools, but in government facilities nationwide, Kira.
All right, and apparently we're just getting some news in. Alex, you were able to confirm yet another January 6th hearing will actually happen tomorrow. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Kira, this is a little bit of a surprise because we actually weren't expecting another hearing until the week of July 11th. But this just in, there is going to be a hearing tomorrow, June 28th, starting at 1 p.m.
Okay, and we'll take it here live, of course. It's going to be a busy day. Alex, Devin, Kate, thank you all so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.